Civil Service Commission meeting for April 20th, 2022. Roll call.
All right, Commissioner Munoz.
Munoz here.
All right, Chair Poplawski.
Here.
Commissioner Ebbium.
Here.
Commissioner Feth Michelle.
Here.
And Commissioner Harden is absent by prior arrangement.
Okay. Now this script that we got, did all the commissioners get the script? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I saw it.
Okay.
Yep.
It has on there, as the next item, has proper notice been established. I'm not quite sure what that's about, and it's nothing that we've ever had before, so explanation could be great.
Good morning, William Schertz here as co-secretary. Proper notice is the question on proper notice being established is whether or not the proper notice to the public has been established for the agenda for this meeting. And so, and it has. I just would like to say that proper notice has been established.
So what does that consist of?
We're required to provide the agenda, post the agenda 72 hours or for longer from the meeting. So it has been posted as required by this Brown Act. And so that's what that means.
So is that on the county website as well as in the lobby or somewhere like that?
Yes. As long as we are able to post it in our county website, which we do on the Civil Service webpage.
Okay.
So I read through the script and it was really confusing and not real clear about what as commissioners we were supposed to do. So are we supposed to, I don't know that proper notice has been established. And I guess, so is it the chair's obligation to determine proper notice has been established and then declare that proper notice has been established? At what point in the agenda? Where is that in the agenda?
It's not it's not in the agenda itself. The chair asks if the clerk if proper notice has been established, and the clerk should say whether it has or not. And in this particular case, it has. We typically we follow. We make sure that we post the agenda in accordance with the Brown Act 72 hours or more prior to the meeting. So it's one of those formal things as far as, working through the meeting.
Okay, so after roll call, then the chair is supposed to ask the secretary if proper notice has been accomplished.
Established, yes, and then the clerk or the secretary would respond saying yes, proper notice has been established.
Okay, so maybe the script could be clarified then.
Sure, we can.
Well, that part is pretty clear to me on agenda 1. I don't know. I did look at this script closer yesterday and did kind of send a last minute email, which I don't know if anybody saw. But this is not really the methodology with which I conduct a meeting. My experience with Robert's Rule of Order is that when you're moving to deal with an issue, you establish a motion and a second first before you even have discussion. You don't have that at the end after asking for comments. You don't really ask for public comments per se, though. After discussion's been going on, I will make a notice if anybody else has anything to comment on. And then this isn't even to do with the script, but the way the agenda for today is put together, I feel that we usually have, like we're modifying a what are we calling it? We're modifying like a certain position that we see the modified version first with all the red and underlines and the scratch. And then at the end, we have the final product where it's kind of reversed in today's agenda, which I found confusing. That anyway, it's kind of like a new ball game to me. So we'll see how this works. So agenda item number 2 is the approval of the agenda of our last meeting. And does anyone have anything to say about that? Could we have a motion?
I'll move to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved in second to approve the agenda of our last meeting. Are there any comments at all on it? Seemed pretty good to me. Okay, roll call.
Chair Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle,
Aye.
and Commissioner Munoz.
I,
Motion carries unanimously.
Right. Okay, agenda item number 3 is public expression, which is when we do invite members of the public to speak, limited to matters under the jurisdiction of committee for items not already on agenda. Is there anyone here from the public who would wish to speak? Doesn't look like it or sound like it. Agenda item number 4 is the employee organization. I don't see any rep from the employee organization, so I don't think we're going to have that. Agenda item number 5 is closed session, and today we do have closed session, and we should adjourn to that. So I guess the clerk will put people in the waiting room, as that's kind of what we do. And then let us know when it's ready to proceed with closed session. closed session. First, we unanimously approved the extension of Eileen Harmon for 6 months.
This is for Jeanette Kropman.
Right. Well, we did 3 businesses in the closed session, so
Okay.
you got to listen to all of them.
So you shouldn't say names in the open.
Oh, I shouldn't say names because it's a closed session. Right. Okay.
That should be in the script.
Yeah, it's not. So anyway, the second item, we upheld the extension of chief property appraiser. How did we word it? Up to 6 months?
Up to 6 months.
Right,
Mhm.
up to 6 months. And the last item of business that we conducted was upholding the human resource denial of an appeal for Sheriff Deputy 2. And that was unanimous as well. All of our action was unanimous, which puts us in a position to move on to agenda item number 6.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So gotta go a ways to get to number 6.
Thank you, Chair Poplawski, William Schertz, HR Manager. I'll be presenting item number 6. This is regarding the consideration of a restructure of the Air Quality Management District and the impact that it would have on classifications that are assigned to that department. Human Resources recommends the commission adopt the proposed new classification specifications for the Deputy Air Pollution Control Officer and the Air Quality Engineer 2, and to approve the classifications specification modifications to the classification specification of Air Quality Engineer 1, Air Quality Technician, and Air Quality Administrative Coordinator. And to provide some background and analysis here for you, following the retirement of the Air Quality Management District's Air Pollution Control Officer, there was a need for the district to become more resilient. The retirement of the Air Quality Management District's Air Pollution Control Officer and the continued shortage of staff resulted in a request to evaluate the structure of the district. During the evaluation of the district, it was determined that restructuring it would be beneficial. So Human Resources has collaborated with the recently contracted. We had to contract with another county for the Air Pollution Control Officer, since we have none now. It's a vacant position. So we and this contracted APCO, the Air Pollution Control Officer, we've reviewed our district's current class specs, leading to the development of these new classifications, as well as modifying some of the existing classifications. I believe it's been quite some time since we've reviewed these classifications and done any modifications or updates to them. So with the proposed structure, our air district would now align with other districts throughout the state in very similar fashion. Additionally, the proposed recommended actions permits the district to cross-train staff as they are hired and build career benchmarks and succession plans for the district to be more flexible in how they go about approaching the business of the district and the employees that are assigned to that district. The modifications to the existing class specs will not have an effect on current staff as they currently meet or exceed the updated classification specs that we've have presented. Again, there are the deputy position is a new position that does not exist right now. And we're essentially looking at changing our air quality specialists to air quality engineers. There's some different language associated with that as well. I do apologize for the mix-up of the redlined being at the end instead of at the beginning. My apologies. We'll make sure that is corrected for next time around when we present our class spec modifications. And I believe Steve Dunnicliffe is here. He's been involved with the Air Quality District and the effort looking at the restructure. He may have some other information for you, or he could answer some questions as well.
Great. Okay, it seems appropriate to hear from Steve right off the beginning and see what light he can shed on it for us.
All right. Good morning, Commissioner. Steve Dunnicliffe, Deputy CEO. And I think that Human Resources has done a good job capturing the main points of what we're trying to accomplish with this exercise. But the district, as the commission may be aware, was having a difficult time with recruiting, and there were a high number of vacancies. And just the purpose of this was trying to make a more resilient organization that didn't have such divisions between positions, so that it was easier for the organization to continue operations when there were vacancies. And there was more cross-training inherent within the organization.
Well, that makes sense because we're pretty thin and now we're vacant. So I'm thinking we should take these classification specifications one at a time here, kind of as they're presented. The first one is the creation of a new deputy air pollution control officer. So I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the Deputy Air Pollution Control Officer classification.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay.
Oh, Art seconded.
I'll do
Okay.
third.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. I have one comment or question, clarification I'm looking for on the second page down where it says minimum qualifications required. There's desirable, visible emissions evaluation. And I'm not quite clear what is that, a license or what, but it's not self-explanatory to me what that is.
So this is Steve. If I can just jump in and say that William had made reference to the fact that we were working with, he didn't name him, but it was the Lake County Air Pollution Control Officer is assisting Mendocino County. We're told that that's a standard qualification, and Doug, the Lake County Air Pollution Control Officer, may actually be able to join us. He wasn't supposed to be available for another 15 minutes, but it seems like he may have time. But anyways, it's our understanding that that's an industry standard recognized language there.
So is
What-
that a certification or what is it?
And if you'd like an answer on that specific point right now, let me text Mr. Gerhardt.
Okay.
And like I said, I believe that he is joining us as well.
All right.
Well, I just Googled it and there's a
Oh.
training and there's certifications. So it just seems to be an incomplete sentence or incomplete description.
Yeah, I didn't really just pick up on what it was saying.
Yeah, I Googled visible emissions evaluation and I came up with trainings and certifications and there's certification courses. There's all kinds of
Yeah, I was kind of wondering
stuff I don't understand. Yeah.
Why it wasn't under licenses and certifications.
Well, and the other thing I didn't understand is if you look at the let me get to it. If you look at the licenses and certifications in the others, it specifically says possession of or ability to obtain a visible emissions evaluator certificate within 12 months and completion of the CARB enforcement training course. So I was wondering, were those things should those be included in this certification? And if you're hiring a deputy control, it's a deputy. Okay, that makes sense for the getting it within 12 months. Okay. Yeah, so Terry, I'm on the same page with you. I don't understand.
So is this a time to ask a question?
Sure.
So this is actually not related to this position specifically, but just the way I try to understand. I would love to get an overview of the restructure. I mean, it was read that with the proposed restructure, the Air Quality Management District will now align with other districts throughout the state. So what's different in this restructuring? What was it originally and what are we proposing as the new restructure?
So
But Sherry, that's not really our jurisdiction, is to talk.
No,
I mean,
I know it's not about the restructure. I would just like an overview of what the structure looks like. That's all. Briefly.
It could be useful for evaluating these specs.
is it all right?
Yeah.
So, and again, Doug is logging in right now, but the Air Quality Management District historically had their pollution control officer. And then there was a gigantic step to where we had a senior air quality specialist position. So there was a big step and sort of a missing space between the air pollution control officer and all of the programmatic areas. We then had specialists and technicians, and the industry has moved away from the specialist designation toward the engineer designation. And so that's another important place for alignment, is that we're concerned that our recruitments weren't necessarily reaching the right candidates because they were looking for other positions other than what we had to offer.
Right.
And the other, just to kind of go back and focus on the deputy again, the interest in the deputy position is to build a succession path towards having very strong internal candidates to replace the air pollution control officer when we lose that position in the future, because there was no position within the district that really had that was a very adequate training ground for taking that next leap. So that's one of the things that we're really interested in here is the way that we're going to be creating the stepping stone or the path towards succession planning. Consistency with with position descriptions throughout the industry, and also consistency with position descriptions within the region. And so that, we're anticipating that it's going to make partnerships and other collaboration with the regional entities a little bit easier.
Yeah, I can see how it makes sense that when you're doing recruitments, you want to be talking the same language as other people are looking for. So we want to.
So in terms of succession planning, would this deputy position be between the senior air quality specialist and the APCO? Where would it lie? Is that it? Yes?
The deputy would directly report to the APCO and would be essentially a conduit or a filter from the administrative grant management side of the house and the permit processing, permit compliance sides of the house.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much.
So are we ready yet with our specialist here?
And if I could just, one more thing, Doug Gerhardt is apparently in the waiting room.
Oh, okay.
People to see and potentially let him in.
I see him. Good morning, Mr.
Morning.
Gerhardt.
Thank you. Good morning.
And
So
I don't know
you
that
wanted
Doug has
to-
the benefit of knowing what we were talking about. If there's anything remaining, I think that it was the visual emissions question, right?
right, there's, on this spec that we're looking at approving, it just says desirable visible emissions evaluation, which doesn't really tell us what it's about. So we're
That's a certification they get from the state. So it's within a year they get certified, and if they have that certification already, it means they've already taken the course. So it's just preferable if they already have that, but it's something that is included in the normal training for the first year of a new employee without experience.
So should it say possession of or ability to obtain a visible emissions evaluator certificate within 12 months from the date of appointment?
Which position is this referring to? I guess is the
deputy.
The deputy. Oh, okay.
Air pollution control officer.
Yeah, right. Yes, it should. So that would be a good thing to add, I think.
Okay.
To correct that. So
So
the deputy doesn't. Oh.
Is there any reason not to just include that under licenses and certificates and not have desirable as a heading?
Yeah, Mike, should it look like what you're proposing for the air quality engineer too? It's got possession or the ability to obtain a valid NESHEA certificate, and then ability or possession of the valid emissions, and then completion of the CARB enforcement training. Should that just mirror what is in the deputy?
Yes, the format should be this. I think would be the same, but it kind of depends on how HR decides to write it. Being it's the management to non-management may be a little different, but the deputy may hopefully doesn't have to use it as often, but would need to have that ability to do that work.
Okay, so does someone from HR want a wordsmith replacing desirable visible emissions evaluation with some language that we've been discussing? Or Jenny, do you want to do it?
Well, I can move to accept the deputy air pollution control officer classification specification with the corrections that under license and certifications that it mirrors what is presented on the air quality engineer 2 class specification.
Well, that works for me. How about others? Okay, and we have had a second on this, I believe.
I haven't heard a second.
So does anybody want to second it as modified?
I'll second.
Okay, Sherry. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the class specification for the Deputy Air Pollution Control Officer. Roll call.
With the modification that the license and certifications mirror what is in the proposed new classification, Air Quality Engineer 2,
Okay,
licenses and certification section.
as modified. All righty. Roll call.
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
Commissioner Beth Michelle,
Yes.
Commissioner Munoz,
Yes.
and Chair Poplawski.
Yes,
The motion carries unanimously.
great. So I believe the next one is the Air Quality Engineer 2 class specification, which is also a new classification. So I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll move.
Okay,
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Does anyone have issues with this spec that we might want to modify? Hearing none, let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Beth Michelle,
Aye.
Commissioner Munoz,
Aye.
Chair Poplawski,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Okay. So then we go to Air Quality Engineer 1. And on page 80 begins the red line. So you can see what has been changed on this class specification, which is somewhat extensive. And above was the finished product, which is what we would be approving. So I would entertain a motion to approve the modification of the Air Quality Engineer 1 class specification.
I'll make a motion to approve the modification to the Air Quality Engineer 1 classification.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And once again, is there any issue to take with this finished specification? If not,
I did have one
Oh,
other
okay.
question.
All right.
That was just, the air quality tech, I'm just looking, I was just trying to understand the licenses and certifications, and that one has a basic inspectors academy. Is that something different? So the air quality tech needs that, but the engineer doesn't? I don't understand the certifications.
okay, is one of our experts ready to weigh in on that?
I guess I can jump in on that if you would like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The Basic Inspector Academy is basically training for someone that has no experience at all in the regulatory world, with air quality. And so the engineer positions are expected to have some experience and some knowledge, some basic knowledge. So they don't actually need that basic academy because we expect them to have some knowledge already of the regulatory world when they come into that position. So it's pretty much the technician is an entry level, so they need that entry level training, and it's really a basic here's what air quality is, here's where the regulations are, and it kind of works them through those types of things. So,
Okay, thank you. I understand now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions, let's have a roll call on the motion to approve the air quality engineer classification specification.
Commissioner Munoz?
Aye.
Chair Poplawski?
Aye.
Commissioner Evian?
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Right. Okay. So next is the air quality technician class specification, which has been modified. And that is down on 80 something, and it's not 89, but it's not been severely edited as this last one. So I would entertain a motion to approve the air quality technician classification specification as modified.
I'll make a motion to approve the air quality technician classification specification as modified.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the air quality technician classification specification as modified. Do we have any discussion on this? If not, let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Evian?
Aye.
Commissioner Beth Michelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Munoz?
Aye.
And Chair Poplawski?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so I guess we have one more in this series to deal with. And that is the Air Quality Administration Coordinator classification specification as modified. And the modifications begin on page 96, and this has a few more modifications to the original specifications. And we have the page 92, the finished air quality administrative coordinator class specification. I would entertain a motion to approve as modified.
So Terry, I just have, I'm not comfortable moving because I have a question. So it says that if you read the duties and knowledge, through the knowledge areas, it specifically asks for knowledge of air pollution control law, climate change, greenhouse gas emissions. Those seem like kind of technical areas of knowledge/experience. But then when you look at the minimum qualifications, it doesn't speak to any specific experience other than performance as a supervisory employee. I'm wondering and then 3 years of practical work experience in an office environment, including 1 year of supervisory experience. But there's nothing related to these specific knowledge base. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering if that should be, I mean, the experience to me is looking for somebody who has general administrative experience. and general supervisory experience, but you're looking for somebody who has specific technical kind of sciencey experience, and that's not clearly communicated. So I'm wondering if you thought through that and what the thoughts are around that.
Okay. Doug, do you want to address that?
Sure. I will say I have to jump off in 1 second as soon as I finish this because I have an interview to someone waiting to be interviewed for a job here. So, but
thanks for coming.
Yeah, no problem. The quick answer is this position will be overseeing a lot of programs that involve climate change and greenhouse gas, and that's the grant programs and money involved with programs at the state. So they need to have the basic knowledge of what these things are and what they do and what the programs are for, so they can kind of oversee it, but they're not going to be specifically doing work in climate change or greenhouse gas. They just need to know the basics of how all these programs come together and what the goal of the programs are, so that the money and whatever the grant program or whatever the program is used properly, and the financial staff and the administrative staff can track it properly. So they know what they're doing when they're looking at these things.
But at the same time, in the job summary, it says that the person is responsible for developing the budget. So, yeah, I'm going to kind of tag on to Ginny's question in the education and experience. Developing a budget is a real specific skill, and it does come under knowledge of skills and abilities, but I would think that you would want to have someone with some education or experience directly related to that. And who does this person, when in developing the budget, who would this person work with? I mean, I wouldn't imagine that developing the budget happens alone.
Well, it says they work under the direction of the air pollution control officer. So I imagine that's who they'd work with.
Correct.
I don't know. I'm just surmising.
Okay.
So I've just seen in the past where the job specs aren't specific about education and experience, that then we have all these appeals about why was my application not accepted. And that's what I'm trying to address. Is it's happened. I think it was it was in one of the health departments. And it was, we probably heard, yes, social work. There was, and we probably heard like 5, and I might be exaggerating, maybe 4 appeals. And so I'm just trying to read this, thinking through that.
This is Brandy. May I jump in?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners and chair. I want to address these questions also in that if you notice, when we introduced this, we're building a benchmark. And so we're building the experience for these applicants as well. We're broadening the bandwidth to have more applicants apply. Additionally, building a budget is going to be under the direction of the APCO and the deputy APCO. And so I just wanted to address those.
Well, thanks for bringing that up in that regard, because that is an issue for us, because we do get these appeals because of the specs not being clear in certain areas. And a lot of people can think, well, I have experience or some knowledge of this area, so I can qualify, and they really don't. So. So Steve, do you want to elaborate any more on what we've been talking about?
It's not that I can elaborate anymore. This position has been a difficult one, trying to balance the special needs of the district, as differentiated from a regular office services supervisor, as an example, And I think that there's language in the class spec, and I certainly hear the concerns that are being brought up. There may be a way to try to better harmonize that. The air quality management district has been, the staffing has been difficult there because there is not, the pool of most qualified applicants are looking at jobs throughout the state. The state is actually hiring a lot of these people over in Sacramento. So all I'm doing really is speaking to the difficulties that we've been trying to kind of work through, right? I don't have any perfect solutions in mind. You know, I think that if the commission wanted to give some, and I think that there's been some general direction raised through the concerns that have come up. You know, we could try to keep working on this. I think it's been a tough one.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm Googling. I was just trying to Google others. Yeah, I think you should, I would like to see you take at least another stab at what kind, at really thoughtfully looking at what kind of experience you want. I've looked at a couple other coordinator job descriptions, and they all require a couple years of experience, and one of them has a certification similar to I think it was just that beginning certification, the first certification for the I forget the name of it now. But I'm just concerned that what you're going to get with this job, with this classification, is somebody who's got some administrative abilities, but doesn't have the experience of grant programs specifically in air quality, the air quality area. So that's my personal opinion.
Well, and if I may, you know, this is an existing classification that the district has already struggled recruiting for, right? So the intent of this exercise is to try to, you know, make this a little bit more manageable. As some of the language that you're looking at, I don't have the red line in front of me, but some of the problematic language you're seeing might be in the class spec that's already been adopted. But again, you know, I'll just keep saying this has been a tough one, and I've certainly heard the concerns of the commission.
I know just
the one thing that I recall with the class spec as it was adopted is it had some really antiquated language about requiring knowledge of dictaphones, I think, and photography equipment, and
yeah,
right.
that's,
yeah, that's always good to upgrade that.
yeah, I mean, that's fine. Those things don't, yeah. Anyway,
Well,
I don't
I've
know.
had some.
Yeah, I'm only one voice. Everybody, others might have a different view of this. It's not, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just voicing my concern.
I have some thoughts on this if I were to run or be looking to recruit somebody, but this is a civil service commission to where we have to, you know, have a general recruitment and everybody's equal or whatnot. But my thought is Mendocino County has a lot of people and organizations that are environmentally conscious. And it would seem that we could encourage one or some of them to develop an individual to fill this position, and they would do it because they see this is an important thing environmentally for us to have this position really staffed and humming. And they may not be even aware of it or, you know, ever interfacing with it. I look at the air quality regularly myself in the morning online and stuff, so I'm aware of it being there. But maybe in my spare time, I'll start talking to people about, especially young people that could find a good career, I'm sure, in this and would be interested in this environmental position. So do we have a motion and a second on this? All right,
Can I say something before we do that, Terry?
yeah,
So what I heard in sitting on this commission for feels like a short time I've been on, the ability of Mendocino County to attract applicants is challenged, and it's difficult to attract applicants for whatever the reasons might be. That's a whole other discussion. But and what I heard today was this more general language has that in the background, that it might be possible to attract more applicants by not making this so specific. Even though I also heard that it may be that when someone applies down the road and is denied, that we might see an appeal as a result of that. And with that said, I guess I'd be willing as a commission member to be willing to realize that there may be some ramifications of this general language down the road, but the ability to attract more applicants would override that concern.
mhm. Okay. Steve?
I apologize if my comments are slightly off topic here, but I would like to address HR. Because we do have this class specification already existing, and we're trying to make it better because we've had failed recruitments. I don't know what human resources workload is, but I would say that we could consider pulling this one back if we could try to modify it and improve it and get it back in front of the commission in a reasonable time period. If HR is just absolutely buried and it won't come back for a year, that might be different. But is it appropriate for me to ask what HR's workload is if we don't take action on this one today?
So I can address that. So I think if the commissioner recommends that HR take this one back and look at the MQs and revise those, we can certainly bring it back at the next commission meeting. I'm thinking that's something we can do within that time period. I would have to say, along the lines of Commissioner Ebian's just recent comments, I think that for some of these hard to fill positions, what we've found is that some of these older minimum qualifications, for instance, I believe this is probably about 14 years old for this particular class spec. That what we found is that it is very difficult with the population that typically applies for employment with the county on a number of different classifications, including this one, that we're considering broadening the class specs similar to what other counties have done in the recent years in order to get those candidates at least into the screening and screen them in and getting them into the departments for an interview. So there is a pro and a con to these types of MQs and the way that they're written. And I think that the landscape for recruitment is changing, and I think that's why you see some of the difference in the MQs of how we've been presenting some of them recently.
Okay, so I guess I should take a poll here of the commission and see if it is our desire to send this one back for a month. So you guys want to weigh in?
I think it's a good idea.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I agree. I'm uncomfortable. I just I don't know, my gut's telling me we're going to get a bunch of appeals. And my gut's also telling me that you may not get somebody with the experience you need. But I haven't been recruiting it's been years since I've recruited. So but yes, I would like to have HR take a look at it, take a look at the specs and the MQs. And as it relates to other counties that have been successful in recruiting, and see if we can, if it needs adjustment.
Okay, well, it does seem that that's the sentiment of our commission. So if that can be withdrawn till the next meeting, we won't act any further on it. Which takes us to item number 7, which is other business. And does anyone know of any other business? Doesn't sound like it. And then we have the Human Resource Director report.
All right, William Schertz here. And as far as item number 8, Human Resources Director report, we don't have a report for you this session, this meeting. We have been, of course, busy recruiting, doing classwork. As you very well see, you'll continue to get those class specs revised, as well as possibly new ones. They'll keep coming to you on a regular basis. So that is one thing that we're looking forward to. Other than that, business as usual in human resources, very busy, and we're almost entirely fully staffed, which is a very good, I haven't seen that in a very long time. So,
Wow,
so
great.
we're happy to report that.
Mhm. So what's the update on the actual recruitment for a new director?
That's still in the works. I think Denise may be able to comment.
Yeah, Denise Bartlome, HR manager. So that is, the recruitment actually at this moment is on hold.
Okay.
Yeah, we were not having luck. So
Mhm.
we're trying to review the process and see what else we can do.
Okay. And seeing nothing else on the agenda, I would say that we can adjourn today, Wednesday, April 20th at 10:23. Thank you for
Thank you.
attending.
Thank you all.
Thank you.